This is a science video. Probably an insane science video. I happen to love science. I happen to also believe in God, and I happen to also believe in Jesus. But I also, through an understanding of all of it, see a completely different picture than it appears the rest of the planet sees. And, posting this channel isn't exactly the easiest thing to do because while an entire globe has one belief and one small little person happens to believe something completely different, the risk of saying something completely different than what you believe to be true offers the opportunity to be highly criticized, to be put down. And how can I say this? It's like that's been the life experience. I've been the black sheep of my family who's been really, really nice and critical of me all the time. Meanwhile, they were beating the shit out of me physically. And I'm the one that's saying, stop. That's not exactly a nice thing to do. But saying stop and saying, question what you're doing appears to be the worst thing you can do on the planet. And it's like, isn't that a little odd? Why is it we can't be nice to each other? Why is it we can't reflect on how we are doing harm to each other? So I've had to really understand God, kind of had to prove that he existed because I knew he was there since the time I was a kid. I've been having a good relationship with God, never pointed me in the wrong direction, always gave me good explanations, always provided me with all of the answers I ever wanted to know. One of them was, I want to prove. It seems like everybody is into science, and what is science all about is the proving of whether God exists or not. So what did God do? Pointed me in a direction to the sciences that prove that God exists. And although I really, really love science, because you gotta kind of love it to be able to read it, to be able to try and understand it. If you hate science and you suck at science, you won't be able to understand any of it. You won't have any passion to research it, to understand it. So you have to kind of love science. So I love science, but when you study it as much as I have, you can see that science is one of our biggest evils. Science is the thing that's killing us, and science is the thing that humanity thinks is going to save us. So I've had a few people, one guy in particular, ask me, prove how science has destroyed us. Well, there is a science called psychology. And while we studied the science of the brain and tried to understand why people are doing what they're doing, I mean, they had mice. They've had so many friggin' experiments. How can you get a mouse to go down a certain path? Pavlov's dogs was a good experiment that the psychiatric, the economic, the marketing world studies so that it can manipulate you into doing everything that they want you to do so that they can profit. NLP programming is huge. I mean, if you want to get lost in who you are as a human, trust you're lost because of NLP programming. Because somebody is using a science to make you do things that will actually kill you while you think everything is good. Like, look at Tony Robbins. He's friggin' destroying the planet and using NLP programming to do it. This guy is teaching you how to worship money. He hated his poverty. Instead of getting rid of the causes of why he was living in poverty, he joined the other side and decided to be the rich guy that puts everybody else in poverty, that puts a whole pile of kids in poverty, the same poverty that he suffered from when he was a kid. Then somebody had mentioned that it's our science that is, allowing us to eat. No, our science created the technology to formulate statistical data. We haven't really looked at the fact that all statistical data will do is prove what you want to see. It will not show you what it is you don't want to see because you don't know how to ask good questions. So, statistically, may look like the planet was running out of food or there's a lot of people starving on the world, but they weren't starving because of the lack of food. They were starving because of a lack of opportunity to grow food. We had actually a surplus of food. Governments were paying farmers, to destroy their food if there was a surplus of it, because that would affect the stock. If we had a surplus of something, then the value of it goes down. And the economic world wanted the value to constantly be up. So we needed to make sure that there wasn't enough, so the value of it would always be high. And that insanity created the illusion that there was a shortage of food. And that's the reason why people are starving. So it's easier to manipulate a couple of insane people to think we need to solve this food shortage. We need to own food, manage food, grow food scientifically, which is basically killing our food. Look at Monsanto's. They are genetically creating food that will kill you. Just the way we process our food now will kill you. Just the food that they think, corn, happens to be the worst thing for you, and yet it's the biggest crop on the friggin' planet. And it's taking up how much land that could be growing more food that's healthier for you. But no, we want to grow corn. We want to put corn in everything as a substitute so it'll make you feel full. But it'll only make you fat. It'll only cause you a lot of health problems. You look at any way that we end up killing us, and you'll find that science is behind every single way that's killing a human being. So you cannot say science is saving us. You cannot look at an EEG machine. You cannot look at any science technology designed to save your life as science is saving you. It's saving a lot of people because we have all of this technology. It's like, why did you need that technology in the first place? Like, all of that technology is nothing more than a band-aid that somebody is profiting off of as they kill you. Cancer is one of the best ways of looking at that. How many ways are we destroying the human body in the name of curing cancer? And yet, the Cancer Society states it really clearly that 50% of all cancers can be preventable. That's a statistic. If they want to see the reality, 100% of all cancers can be prevented. How? Change your friggin' belief systems, which will change your lifestyle, because your lifestyle happens to be the very thing that's killing you. But the Cancer Society won't acknowledge that because our global economic system requires you to work at jobs that will end up killing you. And the process of killing you is how we end up profiting. Making coffins, funeral, anything to do with death is how you're going to make your most money. I mean, if you really want to know where the biggest big bucks are, it's in death. Anything that has to do with death, because we've developed this rule that says as humans we all die. Deepak Chopra is like the most insane guy because he's written so many books on living well. He has a health center, how to live your best life, ageless mind, ageless body crap. And then now he's selling books on how to accept death. Like, what's the point in having an ageless mind and an ageless body if you're going to push the idea that you should die? Accept death. Give in to death. That's the way to go. Because there's a lot of money in it. A lot of people need to profit off you dying. So just lie down and die. And if you look at science and see how science is killing us, you look at every friggin' way we die. There is a science that is involved in all of our deaths, one way or another. And then when you can see that, then wouldn't our lifespan increase if we made a few changes? I mean, accidents happen, but what causes our accidents? Usually there's a technology involved that you're using that ends up killing you. Aging is even something that can be controllable. If we changed our lifestyle, if we could actually cure every illness that's killing us, which there's scientific proof that that's possible without using any science, then what exactly would shorten our lifespan? I mean, if we really, really want to believe our Bibles, they were living 900 years. Then somewhere in that Bible it says your life expectancy can't be any longer than 150 years. So if that Bible isn't encouraging you to die, like you're being guided down a path towards death. And that's not what life is all about. And maybe we need to examine our sciences a little more and see how science is actually killing us and putting a band-aid on it to make it appear like it's a good thing as you're dying. Peace out.